this is something you notice with games as a service games as opposed to like MMOs. Because they're both trying to do the same thing, right? Like at the end of the day. But games as a service games is just like their content. You look at Anthem, you look at Destiny, you look at even Helldivers, which people love. You look at Suicide Squad, and you hear kind of the same narrative over and over and over again. One, that people optimize the fun out of the game.
Of course.
Two, developers seem to think like new weapons, new perks, new weapons, stuff like that, or new characters,
compelling. Yeah.
is like, new content. It's not.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. It's not. If I can play everything from start to finish with what's already in the game, I don't care about like having new stuff, like new weapons, new toys, new tools. That's cool, but I care about new content. Like I care about experiencing things. But maybe that's just because I grew up like playing Halo.
No, I think that's representative of most people that play video games for sure, is they want to experience new and different things. When people say, oh, there's not any content, that means they've already experienced the content that was on offer.
Right.
And they want some sort of variance in that experience. And just giving somebody a gun that now poisons foes instead of burning them is not accomplishing that. Like that's not what that does. You'd have to completely change the way that players approach the game on a fundamental level. And so like something like Helldivers does that by saying, yes, what you're doing is you're dropping in and you're fighting bugs or you're fighting automatons, but we'll give you a narrative and we'll give you stakes to attach yourself to and invest in.
Yeah, that's really
cool. That changes
like
what that experience is for you.
Punishment for the players.
And so they're really taking what is pretty much a monotonous or rote gameplay loop, except for the fact that it's pretty fun, right? Like Fortnite's the same thing over and over again, but it's fun to a lot of people out there.
Well, because and here's the difference with Fortnite, and it's why why you used to be able to play like Halo 2, Halo 3 over and over and over and over again. It's because even though you're playing on the same maps, you're playing against different people. You're playing against thinking, living, breathing entities, at least generally speaking.
Yeah.
And so each encounter is going to be different. So you're always engaged in that like 30 seconds of fun.
And it's tough to do that for PvE. And I think Helldivers has sort of captured that lightning in a bottle of, we'll do it by giving people stakes to invest in. Like people crave narrative and story and purpose.
Right. And team killing. And so it's not direct PvP, but it was when asked like, hey, can y'all take this out? And they're like, no, because it's funny. And it is funny. Anytime I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry, because it's you're not punishing that player that you accidentally killed. You're punishing the whole team. And there's a natural sense of regret. But then there's also like one time I was fighting and Chili, the guy I was playing with, he ended up just diving in front of my gun as I was shooting a bug, and I knocked him out. And it's like, no! Chili loved that bug. That was his bae. And so we just started memeing on ourselves because of that. And it creates these natural moments that will just kind of like be burned into your brain, as opposed to the artificial ones that the developers themselves try to create. And we see that really, I think, hurt games in the long run. And that is, in my mind, FOMO. And you guys kind of hit it on.
It's the same thing with storytelling, right? You're never going to do something, you're never going to create something as imaginative as what the reader created. So if you have like a mystery, like a Lovecraftian thing, don't describe it, because you're never going to be as good as the readers. Same thing with gameplay. Like if you're sitting there in Helldivers and you control your teammates, like, okay, I shouldn't push him off the cliff, but it's gonna be funny. It's gonna be so funny. And so you do it, and then you go laughing about that all night, Now,
because what do you guys think about, like, and especially you, Joker, Val in chat saying, like, what if they added a Helldivers mode into Destiny for the final shape? Because they'd be hyped about it. I find myself like wishing that kind of did exist, but what do you think?
Well, one, we're kind of at the point that I don't think they can do anything fundamentally out of pocket, I guess I would say, with the way that the engine is now. We would need a Destiny 3. So I think just be ready for more of the same with Final Shape, maybe a little bit of a different flavor to it, but
or just don't play it. Play other games and don't buy it, and buy Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree, and just don't play it.
Or Dawn Trail.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
But you're going to have the raid's always going to be fun. because that's the best content in the game,
fair,
which is one of those things that Bungie has definitely screwed up with the game, because there's no new player experience anymore. It's like, how can we get people into the end game as fast as possible? But only 13% of the player base plays the end game. So there's no casual content. There's very little mid-core content. It's all about getting players into the end game. And so I don't necessarily know if, going back to the Helldivers in Destiny, I don't think you can do that because, one, the engine, two, the pipeline to teach players, it just isn't there.